Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV, the O to V edition. This is day 16 of the Costco Wine Advent Box. Yesterday's 90-point wine was a real treat. What will today bring? Dun dun dun! Day 16, here it is right in the middle. This poor little Advent calendar starting to look kind of empty. Well, it's going to be completely empty when we're done. Red cap, red wine, point taken, Western Cape Shiraz. Haha, okay. One reason I think that learning about wine is interesting is really hidden in the names of the grapes. And the grapes themselves, they're moving around, how they get named, how people treat them, and the myths and legends that appear out of nowhere as people try to understand before they actually know where something comes from. A Shiraz, and here's the word, I'll put the label here. Shiraz is a great example of myth and legend. So, what I'm going to tell you right now is totally fake. It's not true. Do you hear me? Not true. This is the not true box. The legend is that Shiraz is from the Persian city of Shiraz, or Sh with a CH, Raz, and that's where the grape evolved, that this winemaking has been going on there for thousands of years, all the way back to the Babylonians and the Phoenicians, those crafty water people in the Mediterranean in ancient times, brought the grape from Shiraz to Marseille in the south of France, where they had a colony, and then it spread up the Rhone River Valley, and then the French incorrectly named it Syrah, and the Australians are correctly keeping the true name Shiraz. Everything I have just said is false. That is an often repeated misappropriation. It's not true. All that stuff is not true. Don't believe it. The truth is, Shiraz is, yes, what the Australians call Syrah. And Syrah comes from the northern Rhone. It comes from the mountains around there. Probably at some point in time, no one's really sure, two grapes got together, made a baby, and that baby is Syrah. The excellent wine school, the Oenology Wine School at UC Davis, did DNA analysis and proved that Syrah is from that part of France, from the area of up in around the Alps, the French Alps, not very far from the homeland of single variety Syrah today, some of the best Syrahs you can get. And those are Hermitage and Côte Rôtie. The French don't pronounce the H, so we would see it as Hermitage, but they call it Hermitage. And Côte Rôtie means roasted coast because it's a canyon-like area through the Rhone River Valley, and that hillside where some of the best Syrahs grow is quite baked. Now, Syrah is a noble grape variety. What does noble grape variety mean? Noble means that it can leave wherever it's grown. In this case, it grew up and evolved in the Rhone River Valley. It got picked up and moved to Australia and planted where they call it Shiraz. Now, our wine actually here is from South Africa, and the South Africans on their labeling have decided to use the word Shiraz versus Syrah. Shiraz and Syrah are the same. It's just the Australians call it Shiraz. Now, the Australian Shirazes are extremely good. Obviously, this grape likes the sun, it likes it hot, it likes it baked, it likes it tormented, and Australia provides all those things for it. In Australia, these are black pitchy wines that are really saturated in flavor. They give you the aromas of eucalyptus, herbs like thyme, maybe even a little bit of rosemary layered in with chocolate. Now, in France, in the Hermitage region and the Côte de Rôti, you actually get wines that are like leather and bacon. Yes, kind of a meatiness to the wines. The South Africans in our Point Taken Shiraz are maybe trying to emulate the Australians. I'm not really sure. We've got to open up the bottle to find out. So let's do that. If you haven't had very many Australian Shiraz, I would encourage you to go out and buy a few and then pair them. Wow, I just flung that off. Pair them with really hearty meals. These are dark, tannic, somewhat smoky, protein-loving wines. They pair great with stews and roasts, and if I was in Australia, I'd say barbecue. Got it. That was a tight cork. So I'm looking forward to finding out if that's in here. Do we have smoke, spiciness, which could be a little bit of high alcohol? The Australian Shirazes are like around 15% sometimes, really big unctuous wines. This says 12% on the bottle, but of course it could be off. Okay, let's look at it. It is not as dark as I would have first thought. I can see through it. If I was looking at this in a blind taste test, I would guess maybe a Pinot Noir or a Gamay, but it's not. It's a Shiraz, but it's someone's interpretation. So let's see. It's, what is that, more red or more purple? No, it's probably more red, so I'll go red and pale. This is pale red to me. Let's smell it. Oh, well, there it is. What you're saying is, gosh, I think last year we had, did we have, I have to look at my notes, but unmistakable, the aroma of barnyard. Yep, barnyard. In some very, very fine Pinot Noirs, that barnyard aroma is actually thought of by connoisseurs as a good thing. It's earthy. I guess we could call it earthy. Earth of the barnyard. Yeah, that's barnyard, all right. Okay, well, what do I get? I get barnyard. You know, in a way, that's kind of not an unpleasant smell for me. My dad used to run a cattle ranch, and I would help him on that ranch, and I don't know, I like barnyard. Okay, so, well, is it a pleasant aroma? It's a strong aroma. I'm going to go 9. It's a strong aroma of a style. Yes, fine. It is expressing itself. Okay, let's taste it. Wow. It's so barnyardy. Okay, it's dry. It's medium full body. The acidity is smooth. It's not overly tart. It's got a nice layer of acidity in there. I'll give it a 7 for acidity. The balance. Golly, I just can't get past that barnyard. Heck of a finish on this wine. The balance. The sugars are fine. The tannins are actually quite smooth. It's very nice that way. The acidity is good. The sugars are good. The balance is good. Oh my goodness. It's so barnyardy. Um, the balance, it's nicely balanced. I have to think about the balance. I can't think about the aroma of manure in my mouth. Complexity. Well, is it complex? Yes. Yes, my friends, it is. In that barnyardiness, it's actually starting to lessen a little bit. There is fruit. There's some fruit layers in there, some herbal earthiness in there. Wow. Multiple distinctive flavors? Yeah, absolutely. I'll give it an 8. Is it fascinating? Kind of, on a like a kind of way. Finish and length. It's a long finish. Does it add to the sensation? Oh my goodness. Can you get used to barnyard? I mean, you can. It's not in fine Pinot Noirs where you've got barnyard. You also have usually another aroma, and that's mushrooms or truffles. So that kind of unctuous earthiness. If you don't like those things, you aren't going to like those wines. This doesn't actually have mushrooms or truffles, but it's a long finish, and I'll give it a 7. Holy cow. Literally. Okay, I'm going to go do my math. Okay, here are my final scores for our South African Shiraz. Aroma 9, acidity 7, balance 8, complexity 8, finish and length 7. I can still smell that finish. 39 points, add that to 50, 89 points. If they could have dialed down the barnyard a bit and dialed up the fruit, they would have had something really fascinating. As it is, this is an interesting wine, and I do appreciate the humor on the label. Point taken, and it's a great big bowl. I love it. I love it. Oh, man. Yeah. Earthy, barnyardy, very interesting. Well done, Costco box. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. This day 15 wine is going to be, day 16 wine is going to be paired with our cheese here in a couple minutes. But before that, I'm going to ask Sarah to do her little tasting at the end of the video, and we'll see what she thinks. Until then, until the next few hours when that cheese video airs, I say à tout à l'heure and cheers.
Hello. Shiraz. Pretty, dark. Huh. I'm going to go with slightly barnyard. Fruity and barnyard. Oh, okay. Brr, that's cold. Very barnyard. Uh-huh. I mean, I know that's a good thing. It's kind of weird. It's also fruity. I can taste the tannins. It's kind of thin, which I sometimes think Shiraz should be bigger, fruity, or darker. So, I don't know. But it'd probably be interesting with food, and I guess we can try it with cheese. Cheers.